What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I just wanted to make a video covering some of my biggest concerns surrounding Battlefield 2042, as there are so many things that I'm really excited about for the game, but that doesn't mean there aren't some things that I'm slightly worried about either. And I guess to counter all the really positive videos on the channel so far, I probably should look at the game critically and talk about some of the more negative stuff as well. Constructive criticism is always a good thing in my opinion. It doesn't matter how good or bad something is, it can always be improved upon, and having different eyes on it can provide different perspectives and different ideas. So although I generally say I am a pretty overwhelmingly positive person, as in 99% of the time I just talk about the stuff that I do like rather than the stuff that I don't like, I'm always open to both giving and receiving constructive criticism. Now, before we get into my own concerns, for those of you who don't know, I am actually lucky enough to be a part of the EA Game Changer program, which means that we are actually able to give some valuable feedback to the developers directly. And a lot of people tend to think that the Game Changers are all just shills and that we just suck up to EA, yet it is actually quite the opposite on the inside. Every event that I've ever been invited to, whether that be for Battlefield or for Star Wars games, which is where I started, those sessions are actually super constructive, and I'd argue that we almost only talk about the negative things. And boy, have I seen some creators absolutely rip the developers and tell them that this thing sucks and just why exactly it sucks. So think what you will about the Game Changer program, but as someone on the inside, I can assure you it is actually pretty critical more often than not. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I am lucky enough to have direct contact with certain people within EA and DICE, and so giving this type of constructive feedback is always helpful to both them and the game, so long as it is obviously constructive and not just where this thing sucks, where that thing sucks. If there's actually feedback to be given, EA always seem to want to hear it. I've straight up had community managers directly message me and ask if there's anything I thought wasn't very good, just in case I didn't actually want to say it in front of the developers or something, so they do genuinely want to hear feedback. The other reason I bring this up is that a large part of why the Game Changer program includes content creators is because we have a direct line to the community as well. So you guys are obviously always giving your own thoughts in comments or live streams, and that allows us to easily pass that on to the team. We might have our own opinions, but when hundreds of people are commenting about this thing or that thing, we can clearly tell that that is a pretty big deal to the community. So anyway, in this video I'm obviously going to be sharing my own concerns, but I wanted to let you guys know as well that if you do have stuff you're concerned about, definitely leave that all down in the comments, not only on this video but just any time in the future, but just make sure that it is actually constructive, as then I can pass it on to the team. If you're gonna just say this game mode sucks or the specialist system sucks without actually giving any reason why, or not giving any ideas on how it could be better, then obviously that's just not really helpful. But if you do have actual critiques and ways to improve certain things, then I'm always keen to hear that so that I can get an idea of what the community wants and therefore pass that on to the team. But anyway, I've just aged a year giving that intro, so without wasting any more time, let's just get stuck into what I'm personally concerned about when it comes to Battlefield 2042. The main worry for me right now is all to do with crossplay and whether or not it will actually be enabled, and then even if it is, how it's going to work with cross-generation as well. In my opinion, crossplay is probably one of the absolute must-have features in this game. If they don't end up having it, then that's just going to be a huge bummer, honestly, and I think the game will actually suffer quite a bit because of it, which is not something that any of us want to see, obviously, so I'm really interested to hear more about that whenever we do get the chance. I feel like because of the limitations on previous gen consoles, it's put the game in a bit of a sticky situation, because it feels like the only way they can actually make crossplay and cross-gen work is to limit what certain players do. For example, having it so that cross-gen just isn't a thing and players can only play with players of their same generation, or the players on next-gen, or I guess current-gen, will have to play on smaller scale maps and with less players, which kind of takes away from our experience of the game. Now, personally, I'd be willing to take the sacrifice of just playing 64 player lobbies if it means that I can play with my Xbox One and PS4 friends, but despite that, that does still kind of suck if that is the case. For example, I'm one of those lucky people who saved up for an Xbox Series X and managed to get one, and if I then only get to play 64 player lobbies whenever I play with my previous gen friends, well, I may as well just play it on the Xbox One, since that's the experience that I'm getting. So although, like I said, I'm personally okay with that sacrifice, that doesn't mean it's an ideal situation. I really think they need to get some information out there as soon as possible on this whole topic, honestly. The longer we wait, the more nervous I think we all get, and so I really am just very interested to see how this all pans out. Now, another thing that has me slightly worried is that because of the larger scale of the game in terms of both the size of the maps and just the 128 player lobbies, I'm pretty worried about what the connection is going to be like, mostly when it comes to playing internationally. 90% of the time that I play any multiplayer game, I just play on Aussie servers, obviously, as our internet is notoriously shit down here, and I'd imagine just most people around the world just usually play on their own servers because that is just logical, but being a content creator and being online on YouTube, Twitter and Discord or wherever it may be, I've made a lot of international friends and I do love to jump on with those guys whenever I can get a chance. With that being said, it usually results in about 200 to 300 ping, which is borderline unplayable in some games. I've played games like Battlefront 2 for example, where 200 ping is actually completely tolerable and it actually barely even affects you. But in Battlefield 5 for example, I would play on US or EU servers and literally would just not be able to get a kill because I'd unload a whole clip into someone and none of the bullets would even register, and then I'd just get shot once and die, so it makes it essentially unplayable. With this channel being new and with me entering the Battlefield community as a creator rather than just a fan, I'm excited to meet a heap of new people in the community, and no doubt those people are going to be from all around the world, but if I'm unable to actually play with those people, that does have a negative impact on our experience as a community. For example, in the Battlefront 2 days I used to stream twice a week, once on Xbox and once on PS4, and we would get a full team of 20 every single week roll around on US servers since that was mostly the middle ground for everyone, and we'd just go undefeated for like 3 weeks straight and have an absolute blast. We'd all stand around emoting each other and doing funny challenges where we'd all crouch the entire game and walk around like idiots, and it was what made that game one of my favourite games ever, not just because of the game but because of the community feeling. Well, with the way that Battlefield 5 was and with this game having twice as many players in a lobby, I'm worried that it is just going to be laggy as hell once again and just be borderline unplayable if you are playing internationally. And if that's the case, that would genuinely affect this little community that we have here, along with just the whole Battlefield community, as well as those same types of streams wouldn't really be possible and the fun that we'd all have would mostly just be limited to our own regions. I would love to get some huge squads together in Battlefield 2042 streams right here on the channel, run around like idiots and just see who can get sent the furthest by the tornado or how many players we can fit on top of a tank and just stupid stuff like that. But if the connection suffers because of the higher player counts, then unfortunately that just likely won't be possible. Now, the very last worry that I have, at least for this video anyway, is to do with the old saying of too many cooks in the kitchen. There are 5 development teams confirmed to be involved with Battlefield 2042, those being DICE Stockholm, DICE LA, EA Gothenburg, Criterion and Industrial Toys, and while this could be one of the best things that they've ever done, having all hands on deck for this game, it could also backfire quite badly. Having too many people involved from different locations on different teams, it could end up getting messy and causing lots of chaos and confusion amongst the team. If one team is relying on another team for one specific thing and they can't get it done the way they need to, and then that affects the other team, then they start having to play catch up, and then maybe something they were working on suffers because of that. It does all just have the potential to get a little bit messy. Now, I don't think that will be the case personally. All of these teams are proven and they've all done great work in the past, and I think EA and DICE will likely be able to stay on top of it. So it's not something I'm expecting by any means, but that saying of too many cooks in the kitchen is a saying for a reason, because sometimes when too many people have their hand in a project, it can just unfold no matter how hard they all try, and so that is something I'm at least very aware of and I guess skeptical of, but like I said, I do have faith that they will be able to manage it. Those are really the 3 main concerns I have as of right now though, guys. I'm sure as we get more news then I may end up having even more concerns, but I'm sure I will also have much more excitement too, so I'm definitely keen to hear more at EA Play, which is just around the corner. Like I said earlier, definitely let me know of your own concerns for the game down in the comments section. It's always good to get an idea of what the broader community is thinking, so be sure to leave your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like down below, and if you are new, then consider subscribing to the channel with those notifications on. Thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you all out there on the battlefield.